So today we're actually going to do an install on the Hobie PA-14. We're going to add an additional Hobie H-rail to the front of the kayak. Anyways, so I'll go ahead and show you what it is that we're installing today. So this is the additional Hobie H-rail that we're going to install. I have done one modification to it already. So when you put this on here, it's not going to sit very flush, and to kind of help it sit a little more flush, I actually sanded down the back portion of that a bit. Definitely didn't do the best job, but I should at least be better than what it was. And then I think once we tighten it down, it'll look pretty flush on there. The other thing to note is when we are installing this on here, you kind of look down the bar here and you see how it has a bit of a bend in it. Typically that's to go with the curve of your kayak, so when it's on the side or something like that. So I'm going to put my curve up the front so it curves towards the bow of the boat. So like I said, I already sanded down or use a Dremel to bring down the back part of this, and I kind of just slowly worked on it and kept checking it on this surface that I plan to mount it on, because this does have a bit of a curve to it. And once I got that where it was fairly close, I called it good enough. And like I said, I think once we actually put the bolts in and we tighten it down, it's gonna look pretty flush. So the tools that we're going to use here today are, obviously we got our H-bar, but we're gonna use the hardware that came with the kit. I don't think we're gonna end up using these washers over here, so I'm just gonna probably use the bolts, the nuts, and the bottom washers there. We got a 11mm wrench. We got a Phillips head bit on our drill there. You can just use a regular Phillips head screwdriver. We have a 1/4 inch drill bit. And then I've already kind of done the hard part, where I was trying to figure out how to make this square across here, even on both sides anyways. And what I ended up finding out, and I'll kind of walk you through, was I measured from the top here back, and I marked about right there, and that's is about 5 3/4 to this length right here. From here to back here was about 5 3/4, and I went and did that on the other side. And then to kind of find where I needed to position it, this lengthwise, side to side, so it was even on the other side as well. What I found was about 1 3/4 back, and that puts me right about here. So I'll like I said, so we got from here back 5 3/4 inches, and then from here back about 1 3/4 inches is the measurements I ended up with. And so I didn't want to have my bar too far forward here, because I already have I have an Anderson plug for my trolling motor right here. So I just moved it back a little ways until it was kind of at a decent location, far enough back from that plug. And that's how I ended up with the 5 3/4 back. And then like I said, to get this length, figure that out, I kind of kept playing with the other side until it looked even, and found that it was about 1 3/4 back to make that even there. And then with that distance far back here, one thing to keep in mind was my pedals, how far forward they would come. And when you're about right here, you're still way up. Your pedals would be almost hitting your boat already. So it is a pretty safe distance still. All right, so since I already did all the measurements, I already modified my H-rail so that the backside would be a little more flush with where I'm mounting it. Like I said, you just use an Orbital Sander or a Dremel if you have one. All we got to do now is drill a hole or holes and yeah, get it mounted on. So I'll go ahead and do that now and kind of, you know, walk you guys through that process, or at least what I'm doing. And all right, so we already have our hole marked where we're going to drill it. Like I said, I have an Anderson plug already up here, so it's a little further back than you may want to do. But anyways, it should be a good safe spot to do it. So we're going to go ahead and get that started. And like I said, this was with a 1/4 inch drill bit, so. Trying to make sure all the plastic pieces on the back side here aren't going to be in the way. So we got that. Like I said, there is a bit of a curve in the H-rail, and I want that to be in the front of my boat. So just keep that in mind. You know, you can put that wherever you like, but I'm going to put it in the front. So I'm going to put the bolt in. All right, so now I'm just going to go ahead. I got the bolt installed. I'm going to put the smaller of the washers actually on the back side here, and then put the bolt on, or the nut. And we'll at least get that started. All right, so that's started there. So now, before I tighten this down, I'm going to go to the other side here. I'm going to make sure it lines up with our spot we marked over there. Drill that hole. Go ahead and install the hardware in there, and then we'll tighten it all down, and then I'll show you kind of what it looks like in the end. And all right, so we're on the other side now. I already got my spot located where I'm going to drill. So go ahead and drill that out. Grab our bolt, put that through, grab our small washer, put it on the back side, and then follow it up with the nut. All right. So for the nut, you need a 11mm wrench. So go and get that ready. 11mm wrench, and then a Phillips head screwdriver, and we'll go ahead and start snugging that up. Move to the other side here and do that. We just finished up tightening both sides. I'll kind of now show you. I'll show you kind of how it looks. At least now it looks pretty flush now. When I used the Dremel and the sander, it wasn't perfect, but it was fairly close. So I'll give you an idea what that looks like now. You can see it sits pretty flush on there. Same with the other side here. It's pretty flush. So, all right, so I actually wanted to show you something before I go ahead and install the accessories on here. I just wanted to show you what the bar looks like with the pedal drive in, and just kind of show you the positioning wise, you know, because you want to make sure you're not going to hit your pedals. And like I said, I kind of already had planned this out, and I knew it wouldn't, but you know, depending on how long your legs are and what position you run your Mirage drive in, you know, it can be close. But even with it in the farthest position, the pedals, it still doesn't hit the bar. So I'll go ahead and show you that now. So, like I said, bar, and this is, I put this pedal all the way in the farthest up position that I can go. And with this all the way forward, you still have probably an inch or so. And then the position I run it in on the other side, I'll give you an idea what that looks like. I'm 6'2", I got pretty long legs. And typical position I run the pedal in is 5. And with that there, you got probably 3-4 inches easily. So the bad part is, you know, putting anything right here is probably going to stick out too far, but you have, you know, this space and this space here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one cup holder here, maybe 2 if I can fit 2, but probably just the one. And then I think I'll try my mounting my graph over here, and then I'll leave my tackle bin back there as well as my other extra cup holder I have, and see how that goes. So I'll go ahead and get that. Okay, so we finished up the install of the rail. I went ahead and threw my accessories that I plan to throw on there, which included the just the additional cup holder and the graph. And I mean, yeah, you can pretty much throw anything you want on it except for kind of the front area right there where the pedals go. So just keep that in mind. But here's my setup. So we'll have the graph here, and I'm sure I'll end up adjusting it a little bit, or, you know, and seeing if I really like this position or not. If I don't, I'll go ahead and remove it, put it back to where I had it, and then put the extra cup holder up here. Got our cup holder up there. And yeah, I just kind of ran the cable back here on the back side of it. And like I said, keep in mind I had my Anderson plug here, so kind of had to keep that in mind when I was placing that. But yeah, overall pretty straightforward, easy install. Check the description of the video. I'll throw in the, you know, my measurements for, you know, the distance from here to here, and then from here to here. It actually came out pretty much spot on to, you know, identical on each side. So the only thing I didn't cover in the video was actually sanding down the back portion of this plastic part. I used a Dremel and Orbital Sander until I kind of had that fairly close to flush. And then, you know, once I got it close enough, well, as I was drilling or sanding it, I kept kind of checking on here to see where it was. And once I got pretty close, I called it good enough. And as you can see, it looks extremely flush now. Once you put a bolt through there and actually secure it down, it looks really good now. I'm really happy with how that looked.